I hear a lot about the encounter and the breakthrough, and that's amazing. And we need to be praying and believing for the breakthroughs, people going forward for prayer and being set free from addictions. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I celebrate it. But being set free from addiction in an instant is not the end, it's the beginning. And breakthrough is never the end, it's always the beginning of walk through. You need to have both hand in hand.
Welcome back to the Proximity Podcast. I'm Abi Thomas and I'm delighted today to be joined by Arianna Walker. Welcome to the studio.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So we're talking about joy for this year at Proximity. So we're here at the conference. We might hear some worship starting up in a minute. So if we get a bit of background beats,
a joyful noise to the Lord.
Let's hope it's joyful. We'll know why. So I should probably start, Arianna, by saying that we both live in Yorkshire.
We do.
We love a bit of Bradford.
We do.
Why have you come to the conference today, Arianna?
Because I was invited to come and speak.
Hey.
And Delight, just an hour away, just head over those Pennines. And I've had a great time in the seminar that I was teaching earlier. So I met some wonderful people. It's great to be here.
Excellent. And you are chair of the board at Mercy.
I am.
You were the founding CEO.
I was.
Give you a proper title. For 20 years, which is
That's right.
a long time to lead a charity. So Mercy is a mental health charity for Christians.
Yes.
Which I guess is fairly unusual.
It
unique
is.
in that sphere.
Yeah,
So to start with, Proximity's focusing on joy this year, as we said. So what is bringing you joy at the moment, Arianna?
At the moment? Well, there's two kinds of joy. There's the joy that is like dependent on circumstances. So I'm having lots of joy with my friends and family, and I love skiing and I love horse riding, and all those things bring me joy. The weather turning a little nicer brings me joy. So there's a lot of things that are kind of external that are joy bringing to me. And then I would say there's like the joy of the Lord, which is sort of internal, and that's a little bit less dependent on whether things are going right or not, and whether all the things that you want to happen are happening. And that joy usually is a joy that you choose. And I have a funny story about that, actually. I don't know if
Hit me with a funny story.
Shall I tell you a funny story? So a few years ago, obviously, you just said I lead this ministry. We were in a really tough situation with the whole ministry. It was devastatingly anxiety-inducing, stressful. And I remember being in my kitchen.
I feel like you're giving me a level of detail, but not enough. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, no, because I'm kind of not allowed to speak about it, but it was very bad. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Legal reasons of why I can't talk about it.
Just like blank out this part.
So you can imagine why it was very stressful. And I remember standing in my kitchen and I'm buttering bread, and I just feel this like huge weight of despair come over me. Like I feel like I'm in the ocean and I'm about to drown. And then I feel the Lord say to me, like this urgency almost, right now, choose joy. I'm like, how can I choose joy? Nothing about what I'm facing right now is allowing me to feel any sense of joy. I just feel despair. And then this little song came back to me, this old song. I don't know how long you've been in the church, but this song, it goes like, what is it now? So, about choosing joy. Oh gosh, it's gone out of my head now. It's the rejoice in the Lord always.
Oh yeah,
again
nice,
I say
nice,
rejoice.
nice.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to sing this. So I started singing rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. And I'm starting to sing it loud, and I'm walking up and down my kitchen waving my knife around, and my husband walks in and he's like, we've been married long enough for him to know when not to disturb me. When I'm walking around the kitchen with a knife in my hand is the time not to disturb me. I'm singing like rejoice, rejoice. Again I say rejoice. I'm literally commanding myself to rejoice in the Lord. And I'm not kidding you. Like, this has never happened to me before or since, but I literally felt like something shifted on the inside of me. And I just started to laugh and like feel this joy, and like nothing changed. I didn't have a phone call to say, it's all solved. It's all going to be okay. The situation didn't change, but I did in it. And it was such a profound experience for me learning what it means to choose joy and for that joy to suddenly become a strength to you, it just made me see the whole situation differently and from a different perspective. And I always go back to that when people ask me about joy and what it is, what joy is, what the joy of the Lord feels like. It's completely outside of our own ability to manufacture. It's like just this spirit to spirit thing that happens that the Lord can do when we most need it. And if we're prepared to do what, he said, choose it. And that's the only way I knew how to choose it, was to sing an old song from my childhood, and command myself to feel that joy. And yeah, so it's a nice little distinction that I've experienced.
It was a great story.
There you go. I'm glad I remembered the song at the menopause moment.
And I know Mercy, I knew it mostly, you used to have like a residential home, and you sort of pivoted away a bit from that and into a new direction.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about tell me what that looks like now.
It's interesting because a lot of people I speak to talk about how the pandemic was quite a profound time for them. Like, God did something there. For us as a ministry, over the pandemic, we had to send the residents home, which we thought would be for a few weeks. We thought, we'll do the kitchen up whilst they're gone. We'll have about 6 weeks. 7 months later, they were still not back because of everything that happened.
So this was people who were coming to help on their journey to recovery.
Yeah, they would come and stay with us for 6 to 9 months, and they would go through our program 24/7, residential. Women aged 18 to 30 something would come, and we'd been doing that for about 18 years. So it was very much part of what we did. And for the pandemic to come, we were just not equipped to keep them there during that season. So we sent them home. And as we sent them home, we said, well, let's support them online. Let's carry on the program as normal, but just do it online, not thinking for a second that it would have the effect it did. And what we found over those 7 months, that young women were still getting breakthroughs. They were still having the exact same encounters with the Lord. And in fact, it was actually in one sense more effective because they were having it in their own life and circumstance, not being taken away from everything and having this false reality almost created. And because one of the issues we always had was trying to get people integrated back into their life after they've been away for that long in an artificial God bubble, as we used to call it. Pivoting it and going, this actually works. We rewrote the program using everything that we'd done for 18 years in the home, as well as our Keys to Freedom discipleship workbook that we had, put the two together and have created something called the Freedom Journey, which is now online 100%. It meant we could take off all the restrictions. No more gender restriction, no more age restriction, no more location, geography, or restriction of having to leave your life behind. So instead of saying to people, if you need mercy, you need to come to us, we were saying, if you need mercy, stay where you are and we'll come to you. And we've been doing that for 3 years now. And honestly, the outcomes and the statistics of the how many people's lives are being impacted by the program we're being able to deliver online is just phenomenal. Only God can do that.
So you mentioned Keys to Freedom briefly, and I know that Teresa, the wonderful Teresa, who deserves many, many shout outs, met someone who'd been through the course, or came across someone who'd been through the course and had really highly rated it, found it really helpful in their community. Tell me a bit about the course and why, especially for people who work in and living and have maybe grown up in low-income communities, why it might be particularly helpful.
It's great. It's a great resource. And there's a distinction between the Keys to Freedom workbook and the Freedom Journey that I just spoke about. So the Freedom Journey I just spoke about really is something you have to apply to go on, and it's facilitated by our staff, and there's professionals involved with psychotherapists and counsellors. So that's quite high intensity for someone. The step before that, and the kind of one size fits most, is our Keys to Freedom workbook. It's 8 weeks, 20 minutes a day, Bible, pen, journal, Holy Spirit, just giving over the devotional style, just working through the 8 weeks at, like I said, 20 minutes a day. You can do it on your own. You can do it as part of a group if you have someone who can facilitate that, and we provide everything you need to be able to facilitate it. What's amazing about it is that it works slightly differently in that it's reader led. not leader-led. So it's not you go to a group, someone teaches you for half an hour, you talk about it in your group, and then you go home and come back and do it again the next week. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're really passionate at Mercy about really putting the onus of the effort and the intention on the person themselves. We know that for people to live free and stay free, the desire for that has to come from them. They have to be willing and committed to do what it takes to be well. And part of that is, here's the workbook. You do your 20 minutes a day. And then on Thursday, we'll all meet together and it's a support group. It's for us to encourage each other, pray together, maybe refer people on if they need some additional support, but just share what God's done in your life or what you struggled with this week. On week, day 3 was really hard. Okay, well, let's talk about that. So it's working really well. We've got about 400 churches across the UK that use it as their main discipleship model. It's a great thing to use like after an alpha. So what do you do after alpha? And Keys to Freedom is working really well with that because it's quite a wide range. It fit, like I said, one size fits most. So really accessible for people.
Just pivoting back to joy then, could you perhaps, we're not going to be able to talk through all the principles on the course. Are any of the principles particularly relevant to joy, do you think? How would you bring those?
Well, I think the outcome is joyful. I think one of the things that probably is part of that that's most connected would be the Renewing the Mind week. So the first week we talk a lot about connection and commitment to Christ for yourself. What does that look like? Do you recognize his voice for yourself? Or are you relying on everyone to tell you what God's saying? So we look at that. And then we look at, that renewing the mind. The Bible talks really clearly about taking every thought captive and making it obedient to Christ. And our behaviors and how we are in life has a lot to do with what we think. Our thoughts, our mindset, our attitude, the way we see the world, the way we see God, ourselves, and people around us is, that's the tree trunk. If the branches are our behaviors, the tree trunk is our belief system, which is fed by roots and the soil of our circumstances.
What a beautiful analogy.
Yes. Week 1 in Keys to Freedom. And if people are prepared to do the work, because, I hear a lot about the encounter and the breakthrough, and that's amazing. And we need to be praying and believing for the breakthroughs, people going forward for prayer and being set free from addictions. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I celebrate it. But being set free from addiction in an instant is not the end, it's the beginning. And breakthrough is never the end, it's always the beginning of walk through. You need to have both hand in hand. And, I've seen people set free from addictions in an instant, but you still got to work out why they were addicted in the first place and get underneath that and allow the Holy Spirit to do the work he needs to do with the renewing of the mind. And so the joy, like I said earlier with the story, wasn't because everything in my life was great. It was because I was able to manage my emotion, to focus my thinking around God's perspective, not my own, and allow him in a way that then changed how I felt about the situation. And, Keys to Freedom's part of teaching people how to do that and having that everyday experience with God.
Mental health then and joy, how can you see those two things sort of? Can somebody who's been very wounded feel joy again?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's something currently actually that I find really interesting in the world of psychology. They're talking in positive psychology, they're talking a lot about post-traumatic growth.
What's positive psychology? I mean, I hope all psychology is positive.
Well, it's a particular division, I think, of psychology that has a lot of ideas around power of positivity and, obviously it's secular, but I love how the secular world is so late in catching up with the things that the Bible has talked about for, centuries. But they talk a lot about post-traumatic growth, which the idea behind it is that the pain doesn't have to define, and we don't have to have just post-traumatic stress where we are forever living in the aftermath of the trauma. There is something that can take place where we become better, we grow, we mature, we become a better version of ourselves, not despite what we've been through, but because of it. And there's something, I think, really spiritual and powerful in that. It's like what Joseph says in Genesis. He says, what the enemy meant for evil, God has turned for good, and this for the saving of many lives. There's something about that turning of our own pain, our own trauma, our own difficulty, and going through the process of healing, because it is a process, and continuing on that process. But as we do that, something happens and changes in us that means that there's purpose, there's meaning, there's positive output because of what we've been through that makes us who we are now. And I think that's a joyful thing. I think that is something to be celebrated, something to be respected. And it's inspirational to see a person who can experience joy now, and they are who they are. There's a depth to them because of what they've been through. So that's a long way of saying, yes, I believe that.
Yeah. There's that tension, isn't there? Because obviously God would never want us to, it's not his desire for his children to go through that trauma.
No.
And yet,
yes.
There's that mercy. That there is.
Yeah,
there
that,
is
like I said in that scripture, what the enemy meant for evil.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think that's one of the really important things to remember whenever we're on a journey of healing, is that if you think God is in any way the source of your pain, then he can't be the resource for your healing. We have to have a really, fundamental revelation of the fact that God is good. Life isn't. People aren't, circumstances aren't always. We can be harmed and hurt and let down, and God can be a part of that in our concept of who God is. But knowing that he can never be the source of our pain means that he's free then to be a place we can safely go to for our healing.
You've got 25 years as a coaching psychologist with a focus on leadership.
Yes.
So I just need to caveat this with the fact that a lot of people are leaders and don't think they're leaders. There's a lot of people in my church that are leading things, but if I said to them, come to a leader's day, I don't think they would put themselves forward to it. Mm. So, this probably applies to a lot more people than we realise. But if you had one key message for leaders about psychology or a message you would like to give them, what would it be?
Lead yourself. I think lots of people want to learn about leadership. Give me the top 3 things to make me a better leader. Make me, 5 ways to communicate better, 6 ways to, manage change in your organization, all those things. And I'm like, let's work on you, because we lead from who we are. And so rather than leadership being skills that you learn, I think leadership is being who you are, just with other people following you. Mm. And so I think if a priority could be work on you, like deal with your stuff and tell people you're dealing with your stuff. Like, let's not hide it in a dark place of like, I'm quietly getting help because I don't want anyone to think I don't know what I'm doing. So like literally work on you, lead your, emotions, lead your healing journey, lead all the things that you can lead and work on yourself, and you will instantly be a better leader.
Excellent. And finally then, thinking about back to mental health in general in churches, how can churches be better placed to support people's mental health in general, and particularly people who are in a crisis or have an ongoing mental health?
Lots of different ways. I think first and foremost, it starts with awareness. And by that, I mean by the leaders, by those who are in charge of setting the culture of the church. So being trauma informed, being aware that we all have mental health, whether it's a good or it's not so good. Mental health is something that is part of the human condition. So it's not like a specialist subject. I think sometimes it gets pushed into the recovery sense, like people with addictions or life controlling issues, versus accepting that mental health is just something that we all will deal with. at some point in our life, poor mental health for sure. I think some of us just have hard lives. And so normalizing it a little bit more, I think, is really helpful. And then training and having specific things that people can get involved with, and Keys to Freedom, for instance, is an excellent way.
Well done. Good plug.
Thank you. Excellent way for churches to kind of have that material as part of their normal things that they steer people towards. So there's lots. I'll also give a plug to Kintsugi Hope, doing great work with churches. And I think they do it, we work together a lot with them. So I would definitely suggest getting help from experts like Mercy, like Kintsugi Hope, and building that as part of the culture of the church. And so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the Proximity Conference. Would you recommend to people to come?
Oh, absolutely.
It's great, isn't it?
Great bunch of people. Like this is salt of the earth type of people here. Like
it's a really lovely vibe, isn't it? It's just
absolutely. These are the people who are getting things done.
Yes.
I always like being with those people.
That should be on the t-shirts. These are the people that are getting things done.
Yes.
Arianna, what a joy to meet you. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see you over in Yorkshire sometime soon. Back on the other side.
Yeah.